When I look back on House MD and I think about where they failed House as a character, the crux of the story was based in making the character the same all throughout, or pretty much the same. There were so many points wherein House was able to move on from their pain to recontextualize it or approach it from a different angle, but House wouldn't be the same if not for what they perceive to be these intrinsic parts of themselves. Actually, I blame House for a lot of the suffering artist zeitgeist that occupies my generation. People who feel as though they can't be happy while also being good at what they do. I find that a lot of people who prize their pain talk as though their work is informed by it. There are the exceptions of incredibly gifted individuals, but for the most part, the art isn't worth the pain and the self-hatred we create in spite of our pain and depression, not because of it. And while we can use art as a medium to recontextualize the world and interact with that space, it doesn't make good art necessarily. Going into what I really want to talk about today, we are not static creatures like House. We can change. We have the capacity to have arcs. In fact, all around House in House MD, everyone save for him changed, got better, shifted, found themselves or otherwise found differences. But if you truly have vitriol for yourself, if you truly hate yourself, change yourself. We believe ourselves to be static, that this is the end, because it's the most recent, but no doubt other characters feel the same way about themselves while they're undergoing change. No doubt you thought you were going to be the same person you were at 16 the rest of your life, 12 the rest of your life, but no, we change constantly. And it's part of why pictures are so important. Very often we don't even notice these changes, how much we've grown or shrunk or shifted up until we are compared to our past. Comparison, while being the thief of joy with other people, is vitally crucial with growth for yourself. Knowing where you might have fallen or risen and how to course correct for that. Now, you can't change everything. There are times where you have to accept all the copium in the world isn't going to bring back a hand that you lost, or necessarily pull away from things that you were born with, whether it be your orientation or the complex chemistry of your mind that makes you behave a certain way. There are a lot of things in the person that are immutable. I don't mean to say that the entirety of human experience is fluid. However, unlikable, overly giving, some things that we find immutable aspects of our lives are things we grew into. Not necessarily baked into what we are as characters, but what we are performing at any given moment. What we are as base any given moment. I bring up House earlier because I think in Season 4, Episode 12, there's a really wonderful line that I put on my note card of sayings. They were talking about a client who stopped drinking. House says, they're still alcoholics. If they never take a drink as long as they live, it's because they didn't live long enough. And Cuddy, his supervisor, says, if you're dissatisfied with your life, changing it is a symptom of mental health. To wallow, to sit in the grief of who you are and what you could be, and being defeated by oneself isn't healthy. I'm not going to say that it isn't something we do. I'm not going to say it isn't something I haven't done in the past. Maybe something I'm still doing in some degrees. Like, I have it built in my head that I'm not a visual artist. My feelings on the medium are very fraught, but every now and then I get the urge to draw still. And I'm not going to stop myself from drawing or trying to just because I don't identify as an artist. One day I could be, right? It's only going to happen if I keep pushing into it. I define myself as not an artist because it was hard. But a lot of things are hard, and just because I lean into the things that come easy to me doesn't mean that it isn't worth learning these new skills. It's worth looking and seeing what things we think define our very being and ask, why is that? Why do you have to be this way? I think this is where therapy comes in for a lot of people, because people take themselves for granted. People can have a really hard time looking past the immediate 3 months in the past and future and thinking that's them. But no, you're constantly changing. And we see change in our peers and the people we love, and we hate it because we like thinking of other people as static too. Sometimes we won't watch the same people after they've changed, after they've found some kind of centeredness, or after they've started talking about different things. And it is entirely your prerogative not to follow through with them. But it's proof, right? People do change, for better or worse. And ascribing that change is some impossible far-flung thing for ourselves hurts us. I've heard in the past a commenter speak to ideals of oneself, of what one aspires to, and specifically about character. How if you perform something that is not alike or not consistent with that personhood, either invented or natural, then it's a failing of character. And to a certain degree, I would want to speak to giving that person grace. I want to speak to how we're works in progress and all that such, but I don't disagree with that point entirely. They're right. If we act in a way that we do not like, sometimes it isn't alright to just accept that being how we are. There are a lot of things in our life that are immutable, and we have to give ourselves grace for if, say, we're nocturnal or diurnal, or if we physically can't follow through with a task. But we are so quick to distill failure, or to fail at a topic, or at a action, and act as though it's all-encompassing, that no matter what you could have done in that moment, that's how it would have been. And believe it or not, while there are reasons, valid reasons not to be able to do things, there are also excuses. And because people have lobbed the term excuse as a means to demean us, we've demonized the phrase. But we can't let ourselves get in the way of what we want, ultimately. And there are some things we can change. Ding, 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 10 minutes.